Back with another episode of Circle of Trades. I'm Todd Studer, and with us, Travis Waldstein, Air Serv Heating and Air Conditioning, and Waldstein Plumbing. Got some rain today, Travis. Does that mean that you were out fixing drains?
I'm sure the plumbing side has been. I've been running around doing everything but fixing drains since the head of Waldstein Plumbing is on remote location up in Northwest Iowa fixing flat tires. So
That's a long way to go to fix a flat.
Well, you know, he woke up with a flat and I woke up with a flat this morning, so we were both bad with the house.
Well, roofing nails are not meant for parking lots. That's the moral of the story.
No, there you go. Unless you want to keep a roofer busy. So, you know,
no, that's true. Say, you brought a special guest on to today's show.
Yes, actually I did. Micah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Micah Meyers with Ayars and Ayars. We're design build commercial construction company.
Yeah. So, So, Todd, what do you want to say before I go start jumping into this? So.
Oh, well, I think that just starting off with the fact that, you know, we know Micah, both of us do, because we're all part of the Council Bluffs Business Connection, which I sing praises to on my own show all the time because it's just such a wonderful group of people, business owners and managers and everybody else that's in that thing. But with Ayars and Ayars, I mean, this is a strict, you always mention commercial, so it's just strictly commercial, is that right?
Strictly commercial, yep. Just strictly commercial, no residential.
Yep.
And how did you personally get into this? I mean, this is, you have a fairly big position with Ayars and Ayars, so how did you get into that?
So originally I got in, being from Lincoln, Ayars and Ayars started in Lincoln, and I'd always seen the Ayars and Ayars name, went into school with a couple Ayars. So I've always been around Ayars and Ayars, driving down 72nd one day and saw their sign they were hiring and, figured I'd apply. I was working as a, apartment maintenance guy and I wanted to kind of dip my toe in the commercial side. So, got started with Ayars and Ayars, originally as a superintendent, but I didn't know anything about the commercial side. So, Mike Ayers was gracious enough to allow me to be on a steel erection crew so I can learn the commercial side of things. So I was on a steel crew for a year, learned a lot, not just with steel erection, but also concrete, masonry. We self-perform a lot of that. So I was able to learn that side of things, reading blueprints, and then transitioning into being a superintendent and running my own jobs, getting to talk to owners. Had the opportunity to run jobs for a year and a half, almost two. And then from there, we lost our sales guy here our business development guy here in Omaha and switched over to that side. So just been kind of running with it since then.
You talked about that being in apartment maintenance. I know that's an industry that always seems to be lacking people to handle those things. Was there a lot of skills that you had developed in that field that translated into what you're doing now?
Yes and no. I mean, some of the skills that I've learned definitely helped with interior remodels that we do, knowing about install cabinetry, plumbing, of sinks, nothing to the extent of what Travis does, but
your basic repairs.
Yeah, basic, what we call make-readies. Just getting the apartment back ready for the next tenant to move in, whether it be a full remodel or just changing out some light bulbs. It was just trying to keep it simple.
Yeah. I honestly didn't know until just now. You had a background in apartment maintenance, so so who'd you do that for? Just out of curiosity.
I worked with Broadmoor Development.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they got a property here. I know they got at least one property in Council Bluffs. They got quite a bit over in Omaha. I do know that. So
yeah, when I worked for them, it was about 25, 26 properties, always growing. They also have a couple properties in Lincoln, Des Moines, and I want to say there's one or two up in Sioux City.
Okay.
But
yeah,
they're definitely expanding, and it was a great company to work for. But I was looking for something a little bit bigger.
Well, once upon a time, I had a painting company, and a lot of my clients were apartments. And you think that being in maintenance in that industry is just fixing problems that tenants have, but no, that's the biggest part is turning apartments. When somebody moves out, what a lot of them is it like 3 days, and then they want somebody moving back in again, and they got to have the
Typically.
they got to have the painter coming in there as part of that process too.
Painter, shampooing the carpets, cleaning it up. It's a fast process. It's on your toes, and that's kind of why the superintendent role was where I wanted to be. Was it took a lot of those skills of not just getting things ready, it was also communicating with subcontractors and getting everybody through on a timely manner. So staying with schedule was huge.
Oh, absolutely. With that kind of stuff, because time's money, butts and seats. It's no different if it's a football stadium or in apartments. That's how the bills get paid.
Yeah, time is money, and that's kind of the big thing about design build is having everything under one roof, having architects right down the hall. Where while we're in the process of getting a new project going, if you've got a design question, I just walk down the hall and I can get you an answer within literally minutes or hours. It saves a lot of time having everything under one roof.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I've noticed since you and me have gotten to know each other over the last, 2.5 years, I think it's been, is, with the trades, a lot of stuff that you do, intersects. We were having a conversation this morning about you guys pouring a driveway. It's like, hey, we might have to do a sewer line repair. If we do that, let's do that before you go turn up the driveway, at this property. And, but then you talked about some of the stuff that you've done. I know you talked about, bidding or doing some packing house work up in Denison and different stuff around the, I'm going to say the Midwest, but primarily Iowa, Nebraska. So talk about some of the stuff you got going on right now.
So there's a few additions that we're working on. Some of the companies, one's in Nebraska, one's in Iowa. When you say Midwest, we don't really have boundaries really.
Mm-hmm.
We have an office up in Minnesota, so we hit a lot of northern Iowa, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, a lot of those areas with the Minnesota office. But then the Lincoln and Omaha office, we try and hit all the doors we can. A lot of additions going on right now. Always looking for new builds, and then also those tenant remodels to kind of fill in the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure our guys are staying busy and just keep rolling, really.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, I know you guys do stuff with roofing. I know you've talked about concrete. If you had to have let's say you had one specialty that you guys do probably better than anything in-house with Ayars and Ayars, what would that be in your mind?
Pre-engineered metal buildings.
Pre-engineered metal buildings. So,
yep, we rock that with Butler Building, and then we roll with them, and we put up quite a few, but we've also got concrete tilt up, whether it's precast or actual tilt up, cast in place. Then we've got our masons. Our masons, I'd put them up against anybody in the Midwest. They do a great job. And then our concrete guys, Jared Little, he's been around for quite a while. I don't know exactly how many years, but it's more than 20. And the man, if you've got a concrete question, he's willing to stop what he's doing and answer your question. And with how much knowledge he has, that's priceless, honestly.
Yeah. Well, in the concrete business, like you said, it's well, the biggest thing is how do I want to put this? With concrete, you never can get it when you want it, and then when you want it, it's always at an off time. But it's amazing how in my mind, they've had more concrete and there's still a shortage of concrete to get the work done. So how do you guys manage that then?
Honestly, the longevity of our employees has been outstanding, especially in those two trades. If you think you can go work with a mason or a concrete crew. You'll learn real quick that you don't know how to work.
Mm-hmm.
I wrestled for 14 years. I thought, I can do this. No, it takes a special person, not just to do the work, but to understand the work and do it properly. It's a trade in itself.
Are these skilled tradesmen hired directly by Ayars and Ayars? So they're employees, so they're not subs then?
We self-perform concrete, masonry, steel erection, and also the tilt-ups and precast.
Yeah. So the stuff that they would like sub out would be like your plumbing, electrical, HVAC, that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
that's what makes you guys kind of I guess what I call design and build, because you not only can you build, but you can design for the customer. And
Mm-hmm.
so 90% of what they do, is done in house. The 10 or 20% that's done, they've got subcontractors that they work with that they've built relationships with. So, unfortunately with that business, and correct me if I'm wrong, Micah, it's really good, but it can be really bad because you can spend a lot of time helping design and engineer something. And if they go somewhere else, it does you nothing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if you get through and you finish your job and do well, I think you guys have found that there's lots of other opportunities with that company in referral business from what you guys
Yeah.
do.
Not only referrals, but I'd say probably 60 to 65% of our business is repeat customers. Somebody that we got an addition done, and they're like, you know what, we've got another part of the existing location that needs some attention. Can you guys help us out with that? And it's we have a small project group that comes out and helps with building maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be just some patchwork or doing equipment pads. We have a group that specifically helps with just maintenance of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 24/7. Anytime you need it, we have guys that work after hours and weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something that you need and it's 8 o'clock at night,
You
we can
got to
help you
go.
out.
Well, because
Yeah.
the places you're dealing with, they're not 8 to 5. Especially when you're talking
No.
commercial, they're 24/7, and time
Mm-hmm.
is money when they're down. So,
Oh, 100%. And there's specific times where we've worked with companies that it's like, hey, we're gonna have a shutdown between this time and this time. Can you help us out? Yeah, yeah, we'll get as long as it works with our schedule. I mean, 95% of the time, I'd say that it does work with our schedule, but
mm-hmm.
we try and work around making sure that we're not shutting you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. Well, and that's what people don't understand about the commercial side of this business, because even if you're doing like a tenant build out or something like that, a lot of the times some stuff doesn't get done 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. A lot of time
Oh no.
to keep the job going, it's off hours. People are there in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
the night. You're like, oh, who does it? Well, somebody does it because they like to get paid, and they're kind of a
Yeah.
special breed, and you don't see them, when the job's done, but that was part of the process to get done. So
You lock up and you come back the next day and stuff's been done. It's like little magic's happened while you were gone. So
it's like Christmas.
eh, every day, every day it's Christmas.
A big thing we talk about on the show, Micah, is with young people coming into the trades and
Mm-hmm.
deciding to make the blue collar world their career. What's it like with your staff? And along that process, do you have young people coming through and adding to your skilled tradesmen, or what is going on with Ayars and Ayars where that's concerned?
Yeah, I would say that we do get uh, young people in. Um, and the hard part is a lot of people are coming in for the paycheck, but they don't understand how hard the work is. But few and far between, we do get those guys that are like, I'm in it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sold. Um, it really just depends on who you're getting in the door.
Yeah.
We do have quite a few young guys out there. Last time I was working with the Masons, it was at a property just up the street from our office, and I didn't know probably three or four of them from the time I was in the field to now. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we're getting guys. This is great. And from what I understand, the three new guys, they've been there for a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So
So
I mean, we're getting it. Um, I wouldn't say that every trade is getting that, but to get guys in, and it really shows to our leadership that they're bringing these guys in. They're showing them the ropes. It's not like they're coddling them, but they're showing them the ropes and getting them the knowledge that they need. So
yeah.
I would say that kind of speaks volumes of our leadership.
Yeah. Well, I got to believe the other thing I'm sure you're doing is you're always recruiting. I mean, I hate to say that,
Hmm.
but that's the reality of the business today.
Yeah.
If you're going to trade school waiting for them to show up, they're probably not going to show up. And with your background, correct me, Micah, I don't remember hearing you say that you went to trade school or anything. It's you learned a
Mm-mm.
lot of this. You came up the essentially apprenticeship. I'm not sure what they call it that time, but how you got to this point where you're at today is you've done every job in the sequence to get to the point. So when you go to a project, okay, I've done his job, her job, and you can kind of point down the line, and you know what it's supposed to, how it's supposed to run, how it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, that was kind of the beauty of the beast on that one is I was able to learn in the field instead of reading it in a book or doing anything like that. And like I said, like when I got hired, I was supposed to be a superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything about what I'd be leading. I wanted to figure out how Ayars and Ayars does as a process.
Mm-hmm.
And getting that opportunity of just jumping in both feet, running with the steel erection crew, learning from my foreman, and getting the opportunity to learn it firsthand instead of, here's a book, here's some blueprints, go figure it out. They gave me a whole year to figure it out. Yeah, that's not a lot of time, but we got a lot of projects done.
Oh yeah,
And being able to learn that way firsthand, I'm a doer, not just tell me how to do it. Being able to do it firsthand. Now that I walk into buildings and the first thing I do is I look up, and it's strictly out of habit now.
Yeah,
I get hit all the time. My girlfriend smacks me on the shoulder. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me what's wrong with the building. I'm just looking. I'm just looking. It's out of habit now. You look up and, hey, I could help there. I could help there, or just figuring out how the building works, whether it's a EPDM roof or they got internal gutters or how it all works.
I haven't had a painting company for 6 or 7 years, and still, when I walk in a room, I look up at the cut line against the ceiling every time.
As a superintendent, same thing. How much paint did they get on the ceiling? I actually have a file in my phone. It's an album of photos of construction mishaps. Like the ceiling grid's not even, and it drives me nuts. Or the lights are two different colors because they have the new LED flat panels, and they have one light that's a different color. It just the small things that you notice because you have a punch list at the end of the day, and you want to make sure that that's as minimal as possible, and you can check it off before the owner sees it. So it's just habit now, and that was instilled from basically day one. You want a great product going through instead of just doing okay.
It's like me looking at HVAC or plumbing. I look at all that stuff every time I want a facility. I look at the 2x2 ceiling registers and going, well, okay, why didn't they use egg crates? Why did they do this? So I'm the same thing, and my wife does it just like Travis. Enough.
Just a quick little smack on the shoulder. Eyes down. You don't need to look at it. The building's not going to fall. Just keep walking. It's fine.
Well, the other day there was a bathtub that sat at about a 15-degree angle that we went to a house. Of course, the house looked like it was on a what was it? Not a car, like the roller rides at the park. Where they got the little puppies. The entire house was like this. The floor did that. I'm like,
Travis, that's called a happy floor. It just waves.
That would work as long as the drain is on the low end. If it's not, then it's a mosquito breeding ground.
Oh, this house, I'm going to tell you what, it was like it's a beaut. Hated what let that. He just said, "Oh my God," he's like, "This is horrible."
It's one of those things you just smile and wave.
Yep, it's a gift that
keeps
keeps
your head.
We got this thing called Company Cam now. We take a lot of pictures of projects and stuff, and so we get stuff all the time off that. I mean, I could make a whole library, just like I said, of follies and stuff you run to. It's like, why the heck did they do that? It's like, oh man. So
no, my favorite one was I went in on an interior painting job in a farmhouse, and I was down low underneath a desk getting ready to work, and there was frost on the wall.
Oh,
yeah,
that's always good.
Paint's not going to dry here.
Yeah, shocker. Oh man. So right now, obviously, you're in a project. How many projects you running right now? Then you got just one or a couple, or how many you running right now?
So projects that I now being in business development, I don't run a lot of projects. I'm just making sure that projects that I've sold, the owners are happy with where we're at. Where we're going, because being in the field, you have your owners meetings weekly. So you have the owners meetings going over what you did last week, what you're going to do this week, and foresight of what you're going to do next week. So trying to keep them informed as much as possible. So with the superintendent doing all that now, I get to check in with the owner, just, hey, how are we doing? Everything going to your standards, and just kind of flying with that. So just making sure the owners are happy with where we're going.
Mm-hmm. How big of a company? I know you do a lot of stuff in house. How many employees do you guys have? Do you have any idea, ballpark wise, as far as?
I roughly guess 100, 125.
Okay,
With
so
field guys included in that.
sure, that's what I figured. So different job sites, different stuff, and I'm sure it's one of them deals. There's probably times where you have to bring in, where you bring in manpower to help with certain projects, if and when it needed. You try to do stuff in house, but sometimes you just need manual labor on certain projects. So unfortunately, that's just part of the business.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
I want to ask you about the roofing stuff because we got in a conversation a couple weeks ago, and it seems like every time you talk roofing, you kind of light up. So talk to me about the roofing business a little bit, what you guys get into.
I do light up with roofing because not everybody's willing to get up there.
Yeah.
For me, it's always been, ever since I started with Ayars and Ayars, it's boots on the ground. So you don't know what you don't know, and if you're gonna quote something, you better go look at it. You're not just gonna, sight unseen is not a thing.
No,
you go out, you take a look at it. And being on that steel erection crew, we did the roofing. Like we did for the pre-engineered metal buildings. I'm up there. I'm shucking panels and helping screw down. And I don't know. It's something about not everybody wanting to be up there. It's fun to me.
Yeah.
It's unknown territory to a lot of people. So for the most part, for us, we do pre-engineered metal building re-roofs. So we'll get our estimator and our metal building gal down in Lincoln. She helps us out with a lot of that. But then if it's like a membrane roof, we have subcontractors that help us out with that. But it's just interesting to me of how many people are willing to give you the quote, but they know nothing about your building. And that's something that I pride myself in, is getting out there, making sure that they know that I'm putting in my time and getting you the proper information instead of just, oh yeah, you need a re-roof. Okay, perfect. Yeah. I'll get you a number for that.
Yeah,
it might not be what you need.
It's 20 years old, and they're saying, well, replace it, and then you go up there and it's like, listen, there's nothing wrong with the roof. Okay, a little bit of flashing, and flashing's a hell of a lot cheaper than putting on a new roof. Let's call for what
100%,
it is.
100%.
Can you tell in a situation like that? Can you tell just with drone footage, or do you need to physically get up there and take a look with your own eyes?
It kind of depends on what type of roof and how many penetrations are coming through the roof. You can get a decent idea, but I mean, if you're walking the roof and you find a soft spot, that's the spot you need to take a look at. With a drone, you can kind of get an idea, but without being up close and personal, you really don't have an idea.
So, sometimes the camera and the drone helps. Sometimes it don't. Now, I'll be honest. I don't mind roofs themselves. It's getting up and getting off of a ladder. If it's 40 foot in the air and it's like this, that's not my idea of good time. But the whole roofing deal, we deal with it all the time with rooftop units and vents and everything else. And it's either the roofer or the HVAC guy's problem when the roof's got a leak usually.
Yeah. Well, and the fun part of our job is it turns into a finger pointing thing. If you're like, well, I don't know, I don't think that the HVAC guy put enough butyl on, or they didn't curb it right, and then it's like, well, the roofer was supposed to curb it, and then it's just a finger pointing, and it's like, I'd like to avoid all that and be able to get up there and actually look at it.
Yeah, you look at the other part. I know when we're dealing with that kind of stuff, it's like, like I said, we've got, we've worked with several roofers too. And it depends if it's someone where they've already got a roof and it's got a warranty. I'm not going to jack around with this. Like, okay, who did the warranty? Who's got the warranty on your roof? And we'll call them and say, hey, we're changing out a rooftop unit. We're going to have to do this with the curb. Can you guys come in and make sure lights flashed in and it's okay that's going to not affect your warranty, because that's the phone call I don't want, because about the time you get a little bit of a drip and there's, it's running around the steel chase and it's 40 foot away and you're trying to chase where the damn thing's at. That's never, I mean, that's never a fun conversation.
That's the hard part about water, is it can come from anywhere. Without being there. It could be 20 feet from where you're actually getting the water through. You got to get up there and you got to look at it.
Yeah. Or you got guys that don't follow the pathways and they just walk whatever and they like to stab the roof or poke holes in the roof. I mean, that never happens either. So
we've seen some things.
Yes, absolutely. So what's besides your family and hockey, and we can talk about that a little bit if you want, but what gets you motivated to go to work every day?
My son. My son and my girlfriend, we've been together for 5 years. My son's 9, making sure that whatever he needs, he's got. Just waking up and knowing that whatever I'm doing is helping out. That's big for me. I also have a slight hunting addiction, so that helps. But yeah, just spending time with them. We don't have a lot of time during the week because my girlfriend's also in construction.
Oh, she is? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So she works construction, so a lot of late evenings. But then weekends we're go. We're as they say, no moss rolling on this rock. So.
Absolutely. They say hunting addiction. So are we talking what kind of hunting? Says we can go off topic here a little bit. So
a little bit. It's turkey season right now, so I'm hoping to get up to the property this weekend and take Jameson with me and then go turkey hunting. Fall's always deer season. We've got 4 Springer Spaniels.
Okay.
So we do a lot of pheasant hunting. I'd like to get a little more in this upcoming season. And then one big thing that we're starting with Ayars and Ayars is we've got a duck boat, and I'd like to get into some waterfowl. So they started running some duck boat adventures, and
really?
something that I'm looking at in this upcoming fall. So.
I like pheasant hunting. I like deer hunting. I haven't done a lot of turkey hunting. I mean, I got friends that do it. It's so much fun. I'm just terrible with bows. So it's like, well,
yeah.
I don't need to come out and do it for but duck hunting, you can't get me up at 4 o'clock in the morning to sit in a foot and freeze my tail off for a bird that tastes terrible. I'm sorry. That's me being me. I mean, the sport of it, but it's like, if you're not going to eat it, then what's the point? So
growing up, we did some pheasant hunting growing up, but for some reason, I was always the dog, so I was the one flushing the birds because I was the smallest one of the group, so I was always flushing the birds. So now that we have 4 dogs, it's a lot more fun for me to go pheasant hunting.
You're not the chaser then. So that's good. That's good. Well, I won't ask you where you hunt. I won't let you give away your hunting secrets. You better keep them to yourselves because other people.
They're in my back pocket for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. So. So what other? So obviously you're out talking to people, and you're not even a project manager. Like I said, you're kind of business development now. So with the climate, I mean tariffs. Everybody knows about that. Prices increases, whatever. What are you seeing when you're talking to your customers? I mean, is there a thought process? Is things changing in the industry right now for what you're seeing based off that, or a lot of your people kind of, well, we know this is going to come around. We're moving ahead. What are you seeing when you're talking to clients?
It's funny because you know what you do and you know what kind of products you use, but you don't really realize what products you use, if that makes sense. With the metals tariff, I didn't even think about it, but ACT tile ceilings, all that grids metal, all that price is going up. Masonry, you got the rebar. I mean, yeah, you think about it for concrete, but when you start thinking block walls, you got rebar in there, so that price is going up. You don't really realize how much that affects the entire industry, not just the metal buildings. It affects everything. So metal studs in your walls, That's affected. So the big effect is how fast the prices change and the possibility of them going up within a week, maybe two. So you kind of have to figure out where the owner is and how serious, and if they're ready to pull the trigger now, or if they're like, hey, I just need a budget number for 2026. That's tough to do. I mean, we'll do it. We'll give you a range now instead of just kind of getting you a tight section. We'll give you a pretty big range because we don't know what's going to happen not only a month from now, but 2 weeks from now.
No, and absolutely, and that's the biggest thing. So, with the projects that are underway where the tariffs are hitting, how are you dealing with it? You just passing the tariff increases on? Are you guys absorbing them? I mean, what are you doing? Because I mean, unfortunately, there's a cost to it. You know.
Yeah, for the most part, we've ordered, like if it's going to be a building, we've ordered our material before that tariff hits, so it's already in the queue. As for things that are months down the road in that project, I'm not 100% sure, so I can't really speak on how we're addressing that situation. We're moving into a few projects right now, so I'll be able to answer that, say, in a couple weeks. But as of right now, I'm not 100% sure on what we're going to end up having to do when it comes down to it.
Didn't you say, Micah, that you had to shrink the length of time that your bid was good for? That it used to be longer, and now it's not because of the volatility.
Right. Unfortunately, we used to do a 30-day proposal, but with the volatility, it's anywhere from 10 to 20 days, depending on if it deals with subcontractors. It really depends on what their price is and their time frame. If they're only going to give us 2 weeks, we need this decision before that 2 weeks hits, so that way we can get the product ordered.
Does that, do you think, slow down the tire kickers, folks that are just in it to just kind of budget for a price and really aren't that interested in starting construction yet?
It really gives them an idea of where they're at. I think that it may slow them down, but if they're like, hey, I need this done, they'll find a way. And that's what we've seen so far. There are some people that kind of pull back on the reins a little bit, which, I mean, that's just kind of where we're at within the industry. Is some people are like, okay, let's just get a budget number, and then they'll pull back. But then there's some people like, no, in order for me to keep growing, I need to do this. So they'll find a way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in the banking climate and people, wherever they're financing or whatever they're doing, they know if it's a $3 million job right now, that chances are there's going to be some overages because of the tariffs. And so you either absorb it or pass it on. And, like I said, if you can order ahead and store it ahead, that's probably the biggest thing is, can your warehouses hold it for a year? Do you have to take it in? Do you have the room for it? I mean, every job, every situation is different. So, we're running into one right now to where, listen, we brought in a bunch of equipment, but the job's behind and they're wanting us to order more material. And it's like, listen, folks, you got to decide, are you going to pay for more storage or what are you going to do here? Because I'm not going to sit there and clog up my warehouse, until you guys get in gear. That or you're going to have to absorb the price increase. I said, you can't have it both ways. So you either pay the storage or you pay the tariff.
That's the biggest thing is today is the most economic that building's going to be. There's no way it's going to go down. It's the most economical if you make a decision within the time frame. If you wait 2-3 months, we're going to have to reprice. I mean, it's where we're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd get an updated quote from your vendors. I had a conversation Monday night. I went to a friend's 50th birthday party, and one of the gentlemen is there. He owns a fireworks company here locally. I'm not going to say who it is, but he was he deals directly. He actually flies to China twice a year. He buys stuff, and he was telling me that a 40-foot container, like one of these cargo Connex containers full of fireworks, before this all hit was $40,000, and he says with the tariffs and everything right now, that same Connex box is $240,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you start doing, unfortunately, that's paid at the port before it's offloaded off the ship. I mean, that's,
Uh-huh.
that's how that's working, and and if your business is, if you tailor it, if you do a lot of stuff with China, you look at Timo and Shein, and everybody makes fun of that stuff, but I mean, it starts becoming real money real quick. So hopefully they get it figured out. I mean, I'm not going to get to the whole politics of it, but it'd be nice to get this kind of put away and move on, because from what I'm seeing, I think there's a lot of people that want to build, but I think there's just enough uncertainty at the moment that that there's certain people that, depending on what your segment is and where they're at, that aren't that are waiting to pull the trigger till some of these things do settle themselves out.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree.
Yeah. So you're kind of seeing the same thing I'm seeing. So,
Uh-huh.
well, I don't want to hold you up too long, because I know you have jobs. I know you got stuff to do today. So, the one question I do have that I'm thinking of is you've been in your business for doing this for quite a few years. Um, I always ask this: what would you go back and tell the Micah 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, before you got into doing all this craziness? What would you tell him, knowing what you know today?
Start in the industry sooner. Start in
Yeah.
the industry sooner. Um, Figure it out. Have a little more time in the
Mm-hmm.
field. Because I mean, I did get 3 years in the
Mm-hmm.
field, but there's more I can learn. The industry's always changing. It's always growing. Get into it sooner. Granted, I did work in the restaurant industry for 8 years,
Wow.
so that taught me a lot.
Mm.
So I wouldn't change that, because it helped me understand people a little bit better,
Oh
and
yeah.
the way to diffuse a situation, or um, be able to interact with people.
Sure.
Um, but when it comes down to the here and now, I would say as soon as I was done with um, the restaurant industry, I should have gone into commercial, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's a growing industry, and it's a lot of fun. It really is, and there's a lot to learn.
Yeah. Well, you let the industrial space, I don't care if you're in Council Bluffs or in Omaha. I mean, there's a lot of, how I want to put it, difference between commercial space and industrial space. There's a lot of commercial, move in, front, storefront, that kind of stuff. But the industrial space, especially when you're talking medium to big size guys, there's not a ton of industrial space. And so, if they're either wanting to expand what they are, or they're having to build new, and the technology changes so much, it gets to the point it's cost prohibitive to remodel an older building versus either a remodel and redo, or build a new building. And that's where you guys can come in and, hey, what's the best option? And
Yeah,
that's kind of the beauty of what you guys do.
yeah. Being able to take a space, we have a 3D scanner now, so we can come into your existing space, scan the whole building, and figure out what we can do with that space. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes a 3D photo of the entire warehouse, and then our architects will go through and figure out where we can go with that space. So it definitely helps out. It gets the whole team together, and it takes a lot of brain power, but our team gets it done. We work very close together with our estimators, myself, and then whichever architect comes out on the job. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, I think it's great. As I said, I've been wanting to get you on. I know with what you do, a lot of people don't understand commercial, industrial, and you could always learn, and I'm sure, like my
oh yeah,
industry, you're learning every day. Um,
every day.
but there's definitely a need, and there's people, like you said, I come back to what you're saying about concrete. My son did it for one summer, and the guy wanted him to buy the business, and he said no. I said, that's that's a lot of flat work, 80 by 100 buildings or whatever else. It's like, you know what, it's a young man's game that's doing this thing, and you have to have people that aren't afraid to work tail off. So
Yeah.
um, so um, so yeah, your story is really cool. Actually, so that's part of what we talk about. You don't have to go to a 4-year college. You don't have to do this, but to see with where you're at, with where you're at now. So,
Yeah. No, I never went to school. Just learned it in the field. Just keep working, keep your head down, listen. The people around you, I mean, just be a sponge. Learn from the guys that have been doing it. Most of them are nice enough to spread the word and make sure that you understand what you're doing. And just be a sponge.
Yeah.
Learn.
You better be careful. You might be running that company for too long. You keep this up.
No. Chad, stop. No, I'm good. I'm happy with where I'm at.
He knows his limitations. I can appreciate that. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we're about to pull something off very special here, and we're going to get all the way through this show, and I'm not going to let him do it. I'll probably mute his mic, but we've made it. You haven't come from Lincoln. We've made it through here without him, Travis, taking a shot against Nebraska.
I already
and
did
I,
that
and I think
today.
that's special.
Yeah. Hey, I thought that was going to be the first thing, but with the Kings playing the Oilers right now, that had to trump.
Yeah, that
Trump.
took over. That took over, and it's not football season, so that's
no. Yeah, I got to hope my boys come back. We're down 2-0, and our goaltending stinks. And unfortunately, I don't think the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but it is what it is. So we'll see.
We can agree on one thing: go Cubbies.
Yes, we can agree on the Cubs. That's right. So
yeah, you can. The two of you can.
Yeah, no.
I was in Wrigley
fine.
one time, and I was there to see my Braves. So that was,
well, there you
that
go.
was how that went down. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
Always grateful, Travis and Micah. Great job.
Micah,
I'm not sure
thank
how many
you.
of these,
Thank you for the
podcasts
invite.
you've done, but you did well. So, and we
Thank
thank you for watching, listening, or however you are ingesting this episode. And we look forward to the next time. So until then, take care.